Okay, so KSI just released a final response to the entire Wade Concept situation over on his second channel, JJ Olatunji, and you know what? I gotta give the guy credit where it's due. I liked the video and I thought it was pretty good. It seems a lot more genuine and honestly just authentic throughout the entire apology. It actually feels like a real apology as opposed to just being like the fake one he kind of gave on Twitter. And he even gave his reason on things for, kind of how his mindset was at the time of things going down and how exactly the situation unfolded to begin with. We're talking about that, but we're also going to be talking about some of the things that he said in his video that I honestly still disagreed with. And we are especially going to be talking about the things that he said in regards to Mams Taylor that I still disagree with. First thing that he did that I really liked is that instead of saying that he had spoken to Wade in private, he actually clarified now what he really meant to say, which was that he was speaking to other people in private who were saying things about Wade that made him have a false opinion on him.
But yeah, I was furious because I heard from so many people telling me about how Wade is, saying one thing to this man and saying another thing online and saying another thing privately, and it's just all over the place. And I was just like, what's going on? And I think what really triggered me was when he said that Tommy Fury versus Jake was gonna get more pay-per-view buys than me versus Jake, because I felt like, oh, he's trying to undervalue me. I thought this was a disrespect to me, blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, but he works for Misfits. I'm confused. I'm blah blah this, blah blah that. So basically, ultimately, it was just a lot of back and forth. And then he made his video, and then I was like, am I gonna do what I do all the time and fight fire with fire, or should I actually speak to the man? Should I actually call the man? Should I actually call Wade and be like, yo, let me hear it from your voice? Because, beforehand, I would always be hearing stuff from Wade through other people. It was never be me talking to him directly. We'd always just be talking indirectly. So I, messaged Wade. I was like, send me your number. I called him. And I just realized, the whole thing has just been a misunderstanding. Wade's a really nice guy, and none of the stuff I said here makes sense for Wade. Like, Wade wants what I want: success in the YouTube boxing influencer scene. Like, we both want that. So me saying and doing all of this, it was an L. It was a huge L, and I'm sorry.
In general, I think this kind of whole entire situation taught JJ a pretty valuable lesson, and a valuable lesson that I think a lot more people need to hear, which is that when somebody comes to you and says that, oh, so-and-so is saying, this behind your back, or so-and-so said this about you, obviously keep into consideration what that person is saying, but also be willing to talk to that person themselves and confront them politely and be like, yo, like, you say anything about me? Like, what happened? In this case, JJ should have much earlier spoke to Wade and be like, hey, like, I'm hearing a lot of things in private that you're apparently being fake, privately and publicly. Like, can you explain yourself to me, and can you actually, like, tell me how you feel about certain things? No, he should have honestly done this much earlier. I will say, I mean, hey, at least better late than never, and at least hopefully he can actually learn from this and learn in the future, not to just, blindly believe what other people have to say to him. Another thing, too, is that I know a lot of people are going to say that they don't believe the sincerity in JJ's apology because he only did it after the backlash, but I don't know, man. To me, it seems like at this point in time, if Wade himself accepted JJ's apology, which he did after their conversation, then I feel like that's kind of it. You know what I mean? Like, if the guy who was affected in the situation, if he himself accepts the apology, which again he did, then to me that just sort of seems like that's it, right? That kind of just wraps up the situation. Like, who are we, the audience, to say that an apology isn't good enough when the person who was actually affected in the situation, they themselves said that it was good enough? You know what I mean? It's like, all right, well, at that point, like, who are you to say anything differently? So I'm not going to include them because they're not really important, but he also was able to take a lot of the jokes pretty well. And to be fair, his Reddit was pretty funny with the memes and the jokes and all that sort of stuff. So, kudos to him for that. Now it's time to get into the negatives. And the real negatives of his video are his defense of Mams Taylor and just also Mams in general not actually explaining himself very well since the situation. And this is the part of the video that I really want to get into. For those who don't remember, JJ initially had mentioned a situation where he said that Wade was being fake in regards to the tag team boxing match idea, where he said that in private he loved the idea, but in public he hated it. Because JJ didn't actually speak to Wade himself, this now begs the question, okay, well, who told JJ that in private Wade was being fake about this, right? Well, we have a pretty good idea of suspecting that it was Mams Taylor because Wade actually showed a text conversation he had with Mams Taylor talking about the tag team boxing match idea.
I saw they were actually doing this. I sent a text to Mams Taylor. Hey, Mams, just wanted to let you know I'm recording a video on this tag team idea. I'm going to be honest with the people. Just my opinion, but I don't like it. And I go into why, but that's all. And then Mams Taylor says, you never mentioned that to me when we spoke about it, and maybe I could tell you more about it before you do that. I guess he meant to say, so you have the full picture. Mams Taylor and I never spoke about tag team boxing, and I never once told Mams Taylor it was a brilliant idea that I loved, which is why I said in my reply, we never spoke about it. We spoke about a pro tournament that you had planned. All I heard of this was rumor until today. I'd gladly hear more about it for sure. Just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Then he said, okay, we'll talk before you post so you get the full picture. So yes, I was open to hearing more about tag team boxing, and we did sit down and talk that night, and that was the very same night that I recorded the Breakdown podcast with Sensei and had these things to say about tag team boxing.
The reason you have to tag out is because imagine someone is faking like they're going to go tag, right? Like they step into that circle, they turn, boom, throw the right hand over, you know?
Rack 'em.
You can get some like safety issues could be a real thing here. This is why this, like, again, I told everybody involved I need to see this before I really make a judgment on it.
Needless to say, I think it's pretty safe to say that Mams is most likely the person who lied to JJ. Assuming that it is Mams, it's weird to hear JJ say that the situation between them was just simply as he wants to put it, a misunderstanding. Because although in the text conversation itself, Mams says to Wade that he initially said that he liked the idea, Wade literally clarifies to him like, no dude, I never said that. I've always been skeptical about the idea. I'm still skeptical right now about the idea. Wade at no point in time has ever been fake, and even in a time where Mams might have thought Wade was acting fake, Wade literally told him like, hey man, like I never said to you I liked the idea. Which is why to me there's no room for like a misinterpretation or misunderstanding of the situation. It just seems like he literally just blatantly lied about him. We'd think with this much evidence against Mams, he would come out with some sort of a response, right? But no, the only thing he said is just a simple Twitter reply to somebody, and that was it. Here someone says, you still mad that the people caught on to your lies? And Mams replies saying, nope. Not mad because I never lied once. I love that response, right? There's so much evidence literally against him, and the guy can only just say, nope, I never did it. Really, his response to the Wade stuff is what I would say to my mom when I was like 8 and I got caught fucking taking like a cookie from the cookie jar, right? And she's like, hey, did you take more than one? And I'm like, oh, no, of course I didn't. And she's like, you sure about that? And I'm like, no, I didn't do it. I never lied. And later on in the video, KSI actually talks about the benefits of having Mams Taylor as his manager and what he's been able to do for him.
Mams Taylor for not handling business properly and being childish and a yes man. I mean, no, I'm not gonna fire Mams Taylor. If I fire Mams Taylor, fam, Misfits goes into the bin. I don't think you understand how much Mams does for Misfits, how much Mams has done for my career, like when it comes to the music. Before 2019, before I fought Logan Paul the second time, musically, what was happening? What happened musically for me? Nothing much, alright? Well, I had Lamborghini. Obviously now that song has aged like fine wine, but at the time, people were saying it was cringe still. I mean, musically, I wasn't really doing much. I had Beerus with Randolph, like that was the next hit that I had, but like commercially, I was nowhere to be seen. And then Mams Taylor has taken me to a place I never thought I'd ever be in my life. With Mams Taylor, I was able to get a #1 album. With Mams Taylor, I was able to get so many top 5s and top 10 singles. With Mams Taylor, I was able to create TOT, The Online Takeover, you know, my own music label. With Mams Taylor, I was able to create Misfits, and look how much we've done with Misfits. You know, Mams Taylor, he helped me with Prime and all these things. Like, he has helped me tremendously, and because of this little, you know, misunderstanding, you want me to fire Mams? Like, are you dumb? I'm sorry, but like, it's so stupid. I'm not going to ever do that.
In this clip, KSI basically says that he doesn't want to fire Mams because he feels as though Mams has helped push his career to a whole new level, and also says that he doesn't want to do it over a misunderstanding with Wade. I've already established that I don't think it was a misunderstanding at all, and in my opinion, I don't know if he should continue to work with Mams, because Mams seems like a very shady person. From the things that Gibb has had to say about him, from what he's done with Wade in terms of what I think is him lying about Wade, as well as the fact of him firing him on a Twitter space, he seems like a very shady person. It's also very telling that JJ can only defend what Mams has been able to do for him in his career, as opposed to actually being able to defend him and his character, right? Those are two very different things. No one has ever said that Mams is a bad manager from the perspective of what he's been able to do for JJ. He's obviously been able to do a lot for him, and that's great, but in terms of his character, again, it seems very shady. But yeah, that's all I gotta say for the video. Peace.